where did this body explosion of plays and poetry and sexually provocative imagery come from, right? Here, during the time of Oliver Cromwell, the plays were closed, okay? The theaters were closed, and any development to the English theater was closed down. Dramas were closed. But what was allowed during that time was English opera, because people still wanted to go to the theater, people still wanted to go and to participate at the theater, even though they couldn't actually go and see bawdy plays. So this is the genesis from where English opera came about. It came about because of Oliver Cromwell shutting down the plays. If I'm not mistaken, he also shut down gambling, he shut down gambling, he shut down Christmas celebrations, although the celebration of Christmas during this time is very different than the way that we celebrated it. There was really a huge crackdown on what the Puritans perceived as degeneracy, right? And it was miserable. It was miserable. People wanted to gamble. People wanted to have sex. People wanted to flirt. People wanted to have romance. People wanted to read, for instance, poems about male impotence, okay? There was a huge amount of sexual desire that was sitting like a powder keg under the thumb of the people who ruled as under Oliver Cromwell, under the Lord Protector of the land, right? So the context of where she is coming from and why she is writing these poems in the ways that she is, it's to clap back at the puritanical time from whence she lives, right? So here is the question, right? And this is the question that I have. And I really don't know I'm not sure what the answer is, right? Are we living in the time of La Ramette de la Rose? Or are we living in the time of the Puritanism? Are we living in a time where we exist in a huge crackdown? Like, I've heard a lot of people, on the one hand, complain about degeneracy, complain about pornography, complain, right?
Hashtag Gorilla the Bigfoot erotica author, Virginia Wade. The author you're referring to is Virginia Wade, who gained notoriety for her series Come for Bigfoot, a collection of erotic stories involving women and Sasquatch-like creatures. Her work was part of a wave of monster erotica that briefly surged in popularity on Amazon's Kindle platform. Why was her work removed? Amazon never publicly explained the removal, but it's widely believed to be part of a content crackdown on titles that featured non-consensual themes, bestiality, or extreme taboo content. Around 2013 to 2014, Amazon began purging erotica that violated its evolving content guidelines, especially anything that could be interpreted as violating laws or ethical standards even in fictional form. Virginia Wade reportedly made six figures from her books before they were pulled. After the purge, she largely disappeared from mainstream platforms, though some authors in similar genres migrated to independent publishing sites, Patreon.
I wonder, like, which side do we go? Do we go with the side of Christine de Pizan? Do we agree that in order to support the dignity and well-being of women, that we need to clap back against misogynistic tropes about women, and that we need to clap back against pornography and sexually explicit depictions of women? Do we need less sex in our depictions? Or are we setting ourselves up for another sex revolution, okay? Are we setting ourselves up for a time period where people clap back? It's a whiplash back and forth. Yeah, exactly, right? And I think that we can even see this today, can't we? I think you're absolutely right, Spudgun. There is a whiplash back and forth between these two different areas, right? And I think we saw that, like, in the 90s. We saw there was a whiplash from the sex negativative porn wars of the 90s to a full total embrace of sexuality and anything goes, like in the post 90s, right? So this was the dawn of Sex in the City, for instance, right? And now it feels like we're turning back to the time of Dworkin, right? How there has been a renaissance of Dworkin, okay? Andrea Dworkin has become more popular recently. More people than ever before are talking about Andrea Dworkin, you know, her views on pornography, like not even that long ago, right? Like about 5 years ago, if you were to bring up any of Andrea Dworkin's like arguments against pornography, everybody would have rolled their eyes at you, right? They would have called you a sex-hating, man-hating feminist, right? Oh, you're one of those people that just doesn't like to have sex. But today, what we know is that there has been a massive clapback against that view. We know that people are having sex at are not having a sex as frequently as they used to. We know that people are losing their virginity at later and later ages. We know that quite a few, let's see if I can find this, okay? Generation Z wants less sex in movies. I'm sure some of you have seen this, right? Yeah, looking for nomads, okay? The study finds that teens want less sex in their TV and movies. A new study about young Americans' entertainment consumption habits suggests that Gen Z is far more interested in seeing screen stories of platonic relationships than those featuring sex and romance. So, I think all of this is leading up to what I'm worried about. And this is sort of what I'm worried about, right? I don't think we're in a like some people will say that we're in such a degenerate culture, right, that it's so pornified. I don't agree. I think that we are reeling in the wake of a pornified culture right now. I think that right now what's happening is a lot of people right now are sick and tired of it. They're tired of overly sexualized images in the movies that they watch. They're tired of overly sexualized themes and lyrics in the songs they listen to. And this is Generation Z saying this, right? This is not, these are the young people saying this, okay? These are people in their early 20s, mid-20s who are coming forward and saying that they want less sex in the media that they produce. That is a weird thing to say, okay? That probably wouldn't have been true like 15 years ago. It probably wouldn't have been true like 20 or 30 years ago. But it is true now. And I think that speaks to a problem that we have. And so, this is a problem that I have, and maybe some of you can sympathize, maybe some of you can share your responses or any ideas that you have. But I feel really caught between these two different webs. And what I'm caught between here is, on the one hand, right, we have had so much content produced by misogynistic people, by people who are in the red pill manosphere, right, who basically will try to degrade women's sexuality, who will say that all women are whores, right, who will, the very same women who they will bring onto their podcasts and who they will swipe right on and who they will take pictures with and who they will pay and who they will watch in pornography are the exact same women that they will absolutely shit on and rip to shreds, right? So there is a temptation, right, to go the route of Christine de Pizan, right, and to be extremely critical of pornography and be really critical of sex positivity, right, and critical of these ideas. But I like feeling empowered in my sexuality. I like feeling good about myself. And sometimes it's fun to watch Sex in the City. It's fun to make sex jokes. There are some highly sexual pieces of imagery and media that are pornographic, but I've also found to be some of the most beautiful films I've ever watched. An example I could give you is the movie that recently came out on Netflix, Lady Chatterley's Lover. Has anybody seen that? Does anybody know what that is? Lady Chatterley's Lover? I can't, unfortunately, play the trailer for you, but essentially what it's about is this isn't in the same vein of disgustingness, right? And this is not going to be pornographic. It's not going to show anything bad, but I can't play the audio for you, but I just want you to look at the images of this, okay? This is beautiful, guys. This is a story that celebrates sexuality. This is a story that celebrates love, and I like that. I don't know which way to go. On the one hand, I don't like the idea of women being objectified in pornography, of being sex trafficked, of being forced to do things. I do think that pornography does re-inculcate sexist ideas about women within society. But I also am not entirely convinced that means that all pornography is bad. I think that there is a case to be made for ethical porn. And I also think that it's a good thing to have positive, beautiful, dignified portrayals of sexuality that we can watch, much like this one. This is an example of this. I don't think anybody could watch this film and sincerely feel that it is a degrading, disgusting thing to women. I think that it's a beautiful story, and it's one of my most treasured films that I enjoy watching. And so, this is it sexual? Is it explicit? Well, of course it is. But you want to know something else? It's also absolutely beautiful. To completely toss out anything that we see that objectifies or portrays sexuality in a piece of media or paint, that would mean that some of my most favorite pieces of art would have to be thrown into the garbage. It would mean that I couldn't enjoy numerous paintings that I think are some of the most beautiful works of art ever created. And so, this is yes, I think so. I think that we need to, I think that we do need to have a way of, we need to find a way of fixing, right, the anything goes side of sex positivity on the one hand, right? Obviously that, it's the degrading and dehumanizing parts, right? We need to have right now we're in the sex negativity 2.0, right? We're in the renaissance we're in the Andrea Dworkin renaissance. We're in the period of history where we are looking back at all of the sex positive stuff that we've seen before in the past and turning our noses up at it and saying that it's disgusting and gross and why did we ever like that, right? And I think that that's because so many people growing up today grow up, frankly, being exposed to tons of pornography via the internet. I think somebody can check me on this. Isn't the average age of when you're exposed to it about 11 or 12? It's pretty young. And this is in the age of the internet, okay? Like, people have been accessing pornography ever since, you could put a chisel, to a rock, right? If you don't believe me, you can find, the Paleolithic woman with the huge boobs in the sandstone, right? But even though that's true, I want there to be I want there to be a clapback. I think it's 10. Jesus, is it really that young? That's so horrible, isn't it? So on the one hand, we do have this problem, right? We have the problem of people being exposed to pornography way too early, of much of the, well, actually, I don't know, of much of the pornography. Well, okay, I will take it on face value that a great deal of pornography that exists that is easily accessible for free on these websites is extremely degrading to women, is abusive to women, etc., etc. But the flip side of being completely sex negative and tossing all depictions of sexuality is that means that this doesn't get to exist. And I like that this exists. And so I don't know if any of you feel the same way. I think that I don't think that I am a radical feminist, but I think that I could be convinced to become one. And I want to talk to people, I want to talk to sex workers, I want to read work, and I want to watch documentaries on stream with you. I want to discuss them with you, react them with you. If you want to hop into the show to talk to me about these documentaries that we're going to watch on stream, you're more than welcome to do so. I'd love to talk to you about it, because this is what I want, guys. I want us to put the era that we're in right now, the Lamont de la Rose era, away. I want to put it on the shelf. And I want us to go back to a new type of sex positivity. A sex positivity 2.0, where instead of saying just anything goes, and instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to sexuality or depictions of sexuality, we have positive depictions of sexuality, ones that are warm and inviting and kind, and that are beautiful, and do uplift and do treat women with human dignity. So anyway, I think that, unfortunately, I don't think the audio is going to work, so I think that we're going to end tonight's stream. But listen, to the one person that's still here, and I don't know who you are, I have a feeling it's you, Spud Gun, and I thank you for being here. But I also want to thank everybody else who was here as well, everybody else who chose to watch me, everybody else who chose to support me. You all are great. Hit that like and subscribe button. That's a thing I'm supposed to say. But I also want to let you know something else, a couple of things you should know about this week. So tomorrow, once I get the audio working, we're going to watch 2 documentaries together. I think we're going to hold off with me reading Andrea Dworkin and going through the passages later. Tomorrow we're going to watch 2 documentaries together, and I'm going to live react to them. One of them is, what about post depictions and positive and creepy depictions? See, I think that the new I think that the new movement needs to get rid of the creepy depictions, right? Like, we need to have people that are willing to create uplifting examples of maybe not pornography, but definitely uplifting and beautiful examples of sexuality. That's what I would like to see more, instead of people simply throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But I could be convinced otherwise, and I welcome you to change my mind. And I hope to change my mind. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn along with you. Come and learn along with me, and maybe we'll change our minds together as we sift through this material. So, again, tomorrow we are going to discuss. I'm going to watch the 2 documentaries. It's a talk by Gail Rubin, who wrote a critique of the feminist porn wars during the 1970s, 1990s. We're going to watch a documentary by Andrea Dworkin, which covers pornography and her critique of pornography. And then on Wednesday, we are going to discuss women in combat. We are going to have a conversation with Goat. That's her username. That's not her real name. But she is a soldier who served in the IDF, and I'm going to interview her. We're going to talk about the problems that women experience while they're in combat, the history of genocidal rape, why that exists as a term, the history behind that. On Thursday,